Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining this evening to the first of the Commonwealth series HBCUs Beyond the Yard. And today we're featuring Florida A&M University. So thank you to the reps from FAMU and also for the representatives from TJAAG or the TJ Alumni Action Group and also the Fairfax NAACP. And so I guess before I dive in, I wanted to just sort of give a brief overview about this event, myself, and also a little bit about why we wanted to host this. And then we can I'll hand it over to Dr. Lisa Williams, and she'll give a brief overview about herself and provide a warm welcome. So yeah, I guess a little bit about myself. My name is Brandon Kim. I am a Fairfax County Public School graduate. I graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School in 2015, and then I attended the University of Virginia in 2019. And so I joined the Thomas Jefferson Alumni Action Group, or otherwise known as TJAAG, and we're partnering up with the Greater Fairfax and NAACP today to host this program. And we're really excited about it because I didn't even know about HBCUs until I attended college and had actually met friends who had applied and who were actually involved in like the Divine Nine organization. So that's when I sort of like understood more about like what HBCUs were and sort of the history behind that. And so it's definitely something that I could have benefited from when I attended high school. And so I'm really excited for this program. And so to give a high-level overview about the Thomas Jefferson Alumni Action Group, or TJAAG, our mission statement is to enhance accessibility, inclusion, and innovation within STEM education in order to develop well-rounded and ethical 21st century leaders. But we also want to commit to really not hoarding resources for our high school that we attended, but also just to provide a lot of equity and improvement in education throughout Fairfax County and Virginia as a whole. And so this is one way in which we want to give back to the greater Fairfax County public school community. And so the reason why we wanted to host this event today, partnering up with different HBCUs, is because we really wanted to explain sort of what HBCUs are, because we wanted to spotlight them, because we wanted to bring awareness and exposure to these opportunities. Like I said before, I had not heard of any of these beforehand, so it was something that was really enlightening for me to learn about, and opportunities that I had wished I had applied to when I was in high school. And so that being said, before I hand it over to Dr. Lisa Williams, I also want to say that this session will be recorded for those who might have to leave early, or for people who couldn't come or want to review information later down the road. And so definitely be on the lookout for that, and it'll be posted on YouTube. But besides that, I think we are ready to go, and I will hand it over to Dr. Lisa Williams, who is the current Fairfax County Public School Chief Equity Officer, for her to introduce herself.
So good evening, and thanks for the invite. Certainly, it is my pleasure and really my privilege to be here with you this evening talking about HBCUs, right? So yes, excellent job, Brandon. As CEO, Chief Equity Officer for Fairfax County Public Schools, just the whole opportunity that you all are creating to have students think broadly about their different options is so incredibly important, right? And it's at the heart of what it is that we think about when we think about this question of diversity and opportunities and experiences and equity and access. And so again, I just want to thank you all for the work that you do to kind of help students to think more broadly about, you know, what the options are to them. I will limit my comments to my personal experiences, having attended an HBCU for both undergraduate school and doing my grad work. What I can say is that it was a deeply valuable educational experience on a whole lot of levels, right? Not to mention the pieces of the experience that are about socialization, the ways in which I experienced affinity often, both with my peers and with my teachers, the different ways that I was presented opportunities to think more broadly about my experience individually and the world collectively, HBCUs are a really important a part of the tapestry of higher educational experiences that I would hope that all students think about and avail themselves of. The other thing that I think is really important, and Brandon sort of elevated this, is that while it is true that HBCUs were born out of a response to oppression, right? Not Black students not having access to attend non-Black institutions. What is true today, right, is that HBCUs and other institutions that serve historically minoritized populations, right? Lots of different students attend those environments. And so it's important that while we recognize that history, right, we don't need to sanitize the truth, right, in order for an option to be markedly different. I want to actually just put forward that today, if you attend a campus or, go on the campus of any HBCU, you're going to see lots of different students from different ethnic, racial backgrounds who actually take advantage of the quality learning experience and social experience that those institutions afford themselves. So for the fellow Bears that might be on the call, go Bears. And I hope you have a great series of discussions. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the TJAAG team to take us further into the conversation. Thanks for the invite.
I think that I'm supposed to go next, actually. And I'm Sujatha Hampton, and I am the education chair for the Fairfax NAACP. And I really thank everyone at TJAAG for inviting us to partner with you in this outstanding event. Such a great idea to bring this information for our students who, as Dr. Williams just said, often are not given this, and as Brendan just said, not given any information about all of their various options and what the benefits might be for them that they wouldn't have considered and don't even know are available. So I really appreciate this opportunity to offer this for our kids. So what I'm going to do is just go over the program so everybody knows where we're headed. First, we're going to have David Howard from TJAAG is going to introduce the participants at this event. And then we're going to have the university overview. So FAMU is going to give some promotional materials, talk about what they have to offer, overview of programs, talk about admissions, all of that kind of information. And then we get to hear from a current student at FAMU and just testimonials, what it feels like to her, what she's getting from it, that kind of thing. And then an alumnus from FAMU is going to speak. And after that, we'll do some Q&A. And so if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A and I will read from those. And we have some that were submitted in advance. And we will go through those and give the reps and the students a chance to answer those questions and answer the questions from the audience. And then Malika is doing the, from TJAAG is going to do the closing. And we'll talk about what's coming next. And then we'll be done. So with that, I will hand it over to David Howard from TJAAG.
Thank you, Sujatha. Again, my name is David Howard. I'm a volunteer with TJAAG and also a proud HBCU alumnus from Morehouse College. I'm happy to be a part of this amazing event that we're doing today, and very happy to have the representatives from FAMU here to start off our inaugural event. So first off, we have Augustus Gus Mitchell, who is the Assistant Director of the Office of Enrollment Management. Augustus E. Mitchell is the Assistant Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. He has 15 years of experience in higher education, ranging from advisement, recruitment, instruction, training, and program development. Mr. Mitchell received his MS degree in Applied Social Sciences with a concentration in Public Administration from FAMU. In graduate school, he was designated as a global scholar, receiving certification in global security and international affairs while studying abroad, visiting 12 countries, studying their transportation infrastructure's impact on economic development. Mr. Mitchell received his BS in sociology from FAMU while acquiring his teacher certification in social sciences education, grades 6 through 12. Mr. Mitchell serves as an advisor for on-campus mentoring programs targeting males and college completion. He is an active speaker with the Southern Association of College Admission Counselors Counselor Workshops. Mr. Mitchell has been newly appointed to the Florida Department of Education Test Development Center, where he will serve as a committee member on a statewide assessment and bias sensitivity committee. Everyone, please.
All right, thank you. And we'll jump right on in. Was it good enough? We got the gist. So my name again, thank you for that introduction, Mr. Howard. My name is Augustus Mitchell. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management here at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And I'm not only an administrator, I'm also an alum as well, as you heard in the bio. So, you know, recruiting for the institution and representing the institution, you know, it is something that I absolutely take personal, and just the whole brand of the HBCU education, you know, it's absolutely unmatched. And the beauty of an HBCU education is, you know, that feeling that we have at Florida A&M University. I'm sure there are at the other 100 universities, there's someone that's going to say they felt the same way at their school too, because, you know, our ability to cultivate is, it can't be touched. You know, we take individuals and turn them into CEOs, we turn them into change agents, we turn them into industry giants, you know, who never thought they had that opportunity. So that's my take on HBCUs, and I'm going to get into my presentation about the one I prefer. You know, so I'm going to share my screen and give you guys some information about Florida A&M University, and also everybody, I'm inside the chat room. I'm going to post some links for you all to take advantage of as well in regards to more information about the institution. The virtual tour, maybe some of you all would like to take a virtual tour of the institution, maybe want to see inside of our new student housing facility, FAMU Towers, or maybe you guys want to take a look around Bragg Stadium or different areas on our university's campus. Also, there's some information on the cost of tuition on the Discover You flyer, all the individual majors, colleges and schools that we offer there as well. So basically, there's some snapshot information about the overall view of FAMU. Also, the admissions updates and highlight sheet, give you guys some highlights about the university, some innovations, and also the A&M magazine. So take a look at those things. I'm also going to place my contact information in the chat room just in case you all would like to reach out for more information. All right. So with my time, everybody, I'm going to share screens with you and bring up some information about Florida A&M University. And if anybody has any questions as I go along, I'm trying to get through what I do. I have I was told about 20 minutes. I'm trying to stay within that time frame. But if you have any questions about university as I go along, please ask. All right, please feel free to ask. All right, everybody, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. We're located in Tallahassee, Florida. We were actually founded October 3rd, 1887. We've been celebrating 133 years of excellence. But if you meet a couple of rattlers, we have a couple in the building, our son Micaiah, and a couple, Ms. Nance as well. If you ask them about Florida A&M University, they probably will tell you that we're the College of Love and Charity. Or they probably would tell you that we sit atop of one of the highest 7 hills here in Tallahassee. But the most important thing I spoke about earlier is our ability to cultivate. So that's why when you can come to Florida A&M, you can discover exactly what you can become. And so many individuals have gone on to do great things. So a couple of highlights for our university. U.S. News and World Report, the #1 ranked public historical Black college university in the nation for 2 consecutive years. So that's a testament to our leadership, to our students, to our faculty staff, to our environment, and overall production. Also, we are also ranked in the top 150 colleges in the country, ranking 117. Also, we have the #2 College of Engineering in the state of Florida, also ranked throughout the nation as well. We're a top 20 arts college. We're number 20 in the nation in Social Mobility Index. And what's Social Mobility Index? And that's a highlight. That means there's a high likelihood that you'll come to Florida A&M University, leave with that degree, and make more money than your parents. So, you know, that's something that we definitely bolster. But while you all have the chance, download the FAMU mobile app. That's a great way to stay in contact with us. For you guys to stay in contact with us via social media, follow us on Instagram at Florida FAMU_1887. Follow us along, and also at Choose FAMU to follow our recruitment on Instagram as well. All right. share a little hype video with everybody. All right, introduce you all to a couple more rattlers you all may be familiar with. You're all familiar with Kay Michelle out of Memphis, Tennessee. She was also a Miss FAMU where she attended. You're all familiar with Rashad Lynn, or you may know him as Common, rapper, actor, activist, Grammy, Oscar. Maybe I'm stretching the Oscar part, but definitely from, with the family from Chicago. What about Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta? All right, Keisha Lance Bottoms, also a journalism major at Florida A&M. Also, the mayor of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Melvin Carter. He's also a FAMU graduate as well. You may know Minneapolis, St. Paul by the George Floyd situation. Also, John Thompson. Did you guys know that there was a rattler leading one of the largest computer corporations in the world? Yes, right, Microsoft. That's right. John Thompson is the chairman of Microsoft, School of Business and Industry graduate. And Pam Oliver. Pam Oliver is the longest tenured NFL sideline reporter. She works at Fox NFL. She's also was a journalism graduate and a track star at FAMU. And last, definitely not least, was Will Packer, is Will Packer. As a matter of fact, we just hosted him on campus this week as his daughter Maya committed to coming to Florida A&M. But you might know Will Packer by his movies that he produced. You know, let's see, anything from Night School to Drumline, Takers, Ride Along, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, 1 and 2, Girls Trip, The Quad, Being Mary Jane, All American on Netflix, Grownish. There's so many things that he has his hands in. But speaking of STEM, he was an engineering major. He was an electrical engineering major here at Florida A&M University as well. So kind of give you guys a little bit of FAMU star power. So hopefully you get a chance to visit the campus when this pandemic subsides, everybody. And if for you guys who didn't know, FAMU is also a testing site and a vaccination site in Tallahassee for the Southside community. Again, talking about HBCUs and how we permeate to affect the community. That's one of the beauties of attending HBCUs. Research says that you come out leaving an HBCU more ready for your industry, for your family, and your community. How important are those 3 aspects in your lives? So hopefully you get a chance to visit FAMU's campus. We have 390 acres on our campus of beautiful facilities. We have 3 brand new facilities that just finished construction. We have a brand new administration building, the Center for Academic Student Success. We also have the brand new FAMU Towers. Yes, brand new student housing facility for our incoming freshmen. They love it. And also the outside amphitheater, where we're about to name it Packer Pavilion. Don't put it out there yet. Just give you guys a little tidbit. All right. So get a chance to visit FAMU campus. If not, take that virtual tour. But regardless, where we decide to choose to go, right? I mean, we only reap the benefit of college when we do this. When we're raving across that stage, right? You actually make $1.5 million over your lifetime when you go through life with a college degree as opposed to just a high school diploma. But this is the goal. So you come to finish. We don't go to go. You want to make sure that you have the opportunity to take the full advantage and get the return on that investment when it comes to education. And we know that HBCUs can fully take advantage of it. So let's get into these colleges and schools that we offer at the university. One of our highlights of our colleges continue to be one of our standout programs is the School of Architecture, Engineering, and Technology. They have construction engineering technology, electronic engineering technology, to name a few. A master's degrees that offer facilities management, which is a hybrid degree with the School of Business and Industry. And also a new master's degree in construction management. A-BET accredited. They also offer scholarship opportunities for the incoming freshmen and transfer students. All right, School of Architecture. The College of Agriculture, man, great program. Ton of opportunities in regards to employment, internships through the School of Agriculture and Food Sciences. Let me get it together. You talk about areas like agribusiness, food science, biological systems engineering, agronomy. How important agronomy? I mean, we have the biggest boom in the country is a medicinal marijuana industry, and FAMU also have a medicinal marijuana educational research center as well. So we are trying to stay abreast of not only just those your traditional things in the agricultural field, but staying abreast of modern day research, master's and PhD programs in agriculture, and they also offer full ride degrees, STEM-based field. The College of Education, we offer bachelor's, master's, and PhDs in these areas as well. The #1 need in America in education, that's right. If you said minority males, you're absolutely correct. You have scholarship opportunities for those minority males transitioning to college in a variety of areas. But I always like to highlight areas like counseling education, especially when it comes to mental health. How important is that in the generation who we service, but more so in society right now, we're dealing with the pandemic and those things that come along with it. So education as well. The university was actually founded on the College of Education. Another great STEM field. The FAMU FSU College of Engineering, right? Whether you're a FAMU student or FS student, you all both attend the same College of Engineering. It's located in the area called Innovation Park. They offer degrees in computer, chemical, civil, electrical, industrial, mechanical, and biomedical engineering. And if you're thinking about giving that engineering degree a little versatility, think about transition to medical school. What's the #1 need in America in regards to engineering? If you said minority females, you are absolutely correct. The engineering field is almost just about 90% white, male, or foreign. So they always looking for great minority women in STEM, especially in engineering. All right, make sure you have that calculus together. All right, and they also offer scholarship opportunities. The College of Law, located in Orlando, Florida, but our main campus is in Tallahassee, Florida. So we have a legal studies program and also fostering a 3+3 program. So you do 3 years in Tallahassee, taking your prerequisites for law school, and transition down to Orlando, Florida, to get into that area of law. Now, the beauty of what's going on, I always talk to students about how society shapes the job market, right? Society shapes the job market. The society's demands. The things that have been shaping the job market these days is what? COVID and definitely social justice movements. So if you guys want to be a part of policy change, social change, we see the uptick in individuals who want to go to law school. We have attorneys who graduated and handle cases such as Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown and Ferguson, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, George Floyd. If you guys have heard of Park and Crump attorneys, civil attorneys, who are one is a FAMU graduate and the other is an FSU graduate, right? Don't forget about our College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, where we have a 6-year PharmD degree, the #1 pharmacy school in the state of Florida, number 14 in the nation for minorities. The average starting salary of a pharmacist leaving the 6-year PharmD program is $112,000. All right, so you guys, is a limited access program. So of course, they're taking those best and the brightest to be a part of the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, and they just added the Institute of Public Health. Think about the pandemic. Think about how important public health officials have become. All right. Also, the College of Social Science, Arts, and Humanities for those individuals who maybe those thespians want to major in theater. They offer scholarship opportunities as well, but not just theater. You talk about costume design, stage design, playwright, audio visual. Those things are all transferable skill sets in regards to other areas. So think about that, as well as our music programs in regards to the music industry. We have symphonic, orchestra, jazz. We also have a gospel and chorus. But you all know about the March 100. And for those of us who caught the NBA halftime, you saw the March 100 all over it because it was produced by Rattler, Will Packer. All right. So for those of us who think about the social sciences, social work, psychology, those areas are back on the rise. All right. The College of Science and Technology, where we have a great program we just started on cybersecurity. 23.9% of the job growth in America is based around computers. So how important is being able to protect that information? We also have a medical scholars program where we put 21 students in medical school the past 2.5 years, and also with funding. All right, how important is that? So if you guys want to major in anything from biology, the bio pre-med, the chemistry pre-med, information technology, computer information systems, man, we have a great program in regards to putting students in STEM. Also, a PhD in physics. You know, FAMU has produced the most physics PhDs in the state of Florida in the past 5 years. All right, Google it. Also, the School of Business and Industry, the Sybil Mobley School of Business and Industry, where we have a 5-year MBA program. Students who in the 5-year MBA program have 2 mandatory internships. And look at that billboard of those Fortune 500 companies behind them that invest into our students. But think about this, everybody. Since we have this social justice and social change going on, we see way more companies investing into HBCUs. You know, now's the time to take advantage of our situation and make sure that we're leveraging our students to go into arenas in Fortune 500 companies. Now in areas like Ford, Warner Lambert, we mentioned that the CEO of Microsoft, Rattler. All right. Also areas like economics, facilities management, supply chain management. Students who graduate with a 3.2 GPA in the 5-year MBA program have 2 to 3 job offers. Students who graduate with a 3.5 or higher have 5 to 7 job offers. The School of the Environment, another great STEM-based field. Why? Global warming is real, and so is climate change. Every single student who major in the School of the Environment received a scholarship. All right, so let's put ourselves in position to understand what's going on in our environment, because it's commonly those environments have other factors like health. So there's individuals who are taking non-traditional routes to go to medical school. There are students who are majoring in food science to go to medical school. They're majoring in the environment to go to medical school. Did you all know there's about 6 to 7 questions on the MCAT that ask you about environmental factors? So think about those non-traditional ways to get to your goals. We also have the School of Journalism and Graphic Communication, where they offer a School of Broadcast Journalism, Newspaper Journalism, Public Relations, and Graphic Design. We have our own TV station, our own radio station. We also have the HBCU network on Sirius, channel 142. So catch FAMU now, or catch our segment from recruitment called Views from the Hill, where education and preparedness meet awareness. All right. So this is another great career fields. Also, the Vice President of CBS News, her name is Kim Godwin. She's also a FAMU graduate. The School of Nursing, we have the oldest nursing school in the state of Florida. We've been putting nurses in the hospital since 1936. So we think about, again, the pandemic. Before the pandemic, there was already a shortage of nurses. Now, nurses are commanding their own salaries. All right. So think about nursing, and think about the School of Allied Health Sciences. That's physical therapy, occupational therapy, cardiopulmonary science, health information management, and a whole variety of areas, including the doctorate of physical therapy. That professor in the middle, her name is Dr. Tracy Thomas. She is the only African-American woman in America with a PhD in pharmacy and PhD in physical therapy, and she leads that department. We also offer great areas like ROTC in regards to Navy and Army. We partner with FSU in regards to our Air Force ROTC, and you can transition to the Marines through the Navy. Scholarship opportunities at a variety of levels, everybody. As we think about the pandemic, how it affects the economy, has hit a lot of individuals disproportionately, especially financially. So it's important to know where the resources are, all right? So you have colleges and schools that offer scholarships, merit-based scholarships. That deadline has passed, but there are other opportunities. The ROTC, alumni-based scholarships, wherever you guys are in the DMV area, Virginia or Maryland, they offer scholarship opportunities. FAMU Foundation scholarships. So if you never received a scholarship coming to FAM, if you come and perform, maintain a 3.0 GPA, that puts you back in the pool to get scholarship opportunities. Also, out-of-state waivers that you all may be eligible for, all right? But while you're here, don't forget we have a whole variety of things on our campus. We did discuss our bowling alley, the barbershop, the beauty supply store, the game room, the Chick-fil-A, the fully functioning Starbucks in the library, the Wingstop, just in case you were 10-piece lemon pepper type person, or your tropical smoothie cafe, food trucks, a whole variety of things right on FAMU's campus. It's like a little community. And don't forget about joining clubs and organizations. A student who's involved is a student who's most likely to finish. So think about joining fraternities and sororities, man. Brotherhood, sisterhood, community service, and networking. 13 different scholarship sports as we transition to the Southwestern Athletic Conference, everybody, next year. Our very first game, Jackson State in Miami on Labor Day. So make sure you guys wear your mask and make your travel plans. And forget the vaccine. We should all have the vaccine by then. But Labor Day kicking off the new year down in Miami, Florida against Jackson State and Deion Sanders down in Miami, Florida. Couple housing options for you guys. This is our housing for our upperclassmen. They're all single suites. They're called FAMU villages. All right, 800-bed facility. Again, all single suites. Our campus is fully Wi-Fi. Whole variety of things on campus for you, including living learning communities. But here's our newest housing facility, FAMU Towers for our incoming freshmen. Great facility. It has kitchens in the inside, different studying areas, study halls, study labs, game rooms, everything you need for the student experience inside the FAMU Towers. But again, I'd be remiss if I tell you guys, please take advantage of the resources in college. If you're a college student right now and you're listening, and if you're one of those students who just like to get up and go to the library, and maybe you go to the cafe, get you something to eat after that, and you just go to class and you go back to your dorm room. I mean, that's the type of person you are, that's fine. But just don't call home and tell mom don't tell mom that college is boring. College isn't boring, you boring. All right. So make sure you get involved and take advantage of the resources that you have on campus to make sure you have a little livelihood to your life. One thing I would advise every student is when you first get on campus, maybe your first, second semester, go and visit the career center. There's a lot of opportunities that can put you guys in front of employers, so make sure you guys take advantage of those type of resources. And the Center for Disabilities and Access Resources for students who may come with physical or learning disabilities. We offer wraparound services. Now, before we leave, my students, college is about academic attainment, of course, but what's going to push you over the top is your development to understand culture. It's your development to understand how to be a leader. And when you take advantage of things like study abroad and international programs, man, they really change the way you view the world. But more importantly, it makes you twice as employable. I don't think anyone on here can name a profession where you're solely going to work with one culture. America is a makeup of subcultures. It's a salad bowl. All right. So take advantage of areas like international education. I had a great opportunity. I'm from Miami, Florida, and when I went to Tallahassee, for college, I probably left the state of Florida like twice. I grew up in the area. Why would I need to leave? It's Miami. But by the time I went to college, I graduated, man. I visited about 12 countries, including China, Africa, Japan, over in Johannesburg and Soweto. I've been in Nelson Mandela's house, man. I mean, just another young man from the inner city of Miami, and I went to Nelson Mandela's house. Now, he wasn't home. That's not the point. It's a museum. But I had the opportunity. And hopefully you guys could take advantage of the same. So make sure you guys take advantage of things like international education. All right. Now, how do you get in FAMU? A 3.0 core GPA. All right. That means your core courses, math, science, English, and history. We are a state school, so we have not gone test optional. So those are the test scores that we need on the ACT and SAT exam. All right. 500-word essay, 2 letters of recommendation, and you can submit electronic transcript or you can self-report your grades. You can only apply to FAMU through FAMU's website. That's www.famu.edu. And our application fee is $35. However, if you have an ACT waiver or SAT waiver or a NAACP fee waiver, you can apply for free. And at the bottom, you can see all of our deadlines. But if you guys have the opportunity, maybe COVID has hitting us in a disproportionate situation, maybe you want to start off at a state college. Get your 30 credit hours, then transfer to a state school, or get your AA degree, then transfer. As we know, one of the most expensive things about college is room and board. So if you guys want to know more information about FAMU, I put some links inside the chat room, but here is my contact information if you guys want to reach out to me directly. Again, my name is Augustus Mitchell, and I want to urge you all to just come strike with us. Come down to Tallahassee and try to figure out why you don't want to leave. Because it's that kind of environment that those rattlers always come back to. But most importantly, it's what the university develops you to become. It develops you to put you in a situation to be prepared for anything. And as we pay attention to what's going on around us, I think it's more important than ever to consider HBCU. All right. So thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions or about anything that we shared today, I'd be glad to have that conversation with you. Look at that. I got X on me today. Hey, Xavier.
Hey, Mr. Mitchell, how you doing?
How you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
All right. Right. So if anyone has any questions, I do know we have some other rattlers in the building. As you see, we have our SGA president here with us today, Xavier. And I'm sure he can share some information with you all about his experiences about student leadership, man. Did a great job leading our university during the pandemic. And I think we need to give him his roses while you're alive. You know what I'm saying? It's a difficult situation, man. It's a difficult situation trying to maintain some balance during a time of uncertainty, and we have no one else to refer to. These were unprecedented times. So, man, I definitely want to give you kudos, man, for being the SGA president during the toughest time.
I really appreciate
right direction, my bro. All right.
I appreciate that.
All right. We have Ms. Nance who's going to share something? Mr. Howard? Mr. Howard, you back? All right.
I can't tell if David is frozen or if
I think he's frozen. I think
he's frozen. Okay, he's frozen. So we were prepared for that just in case his connection was not great.
Okay.
Let me put my video back on. Hold on. I think I took my video off. Sorry, everyone. A little bit of a technical glitch on David's part. So I would like to introduce Bridget Nance, who is the FAMU alum who came to join today to tell us some stuff. Let me give you an introduction. Ms. Nance was born to an engineer and Fairfax County teacher and principal. Education has always been an important pillar in Bridget's life. She is a class of 2000 graduate from Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, TJ, and she would go on to attend Florida A&M University on a full ride academic scholarship as a presidential scholar. While at FAMU, Bridget was the opinions editor for the school newspaper and the elections commissioner for the university's Student Government Association. She would graduate from the School of Journalism with honors in 2004. After FAMU, Bridget would work in public relations for AT&T for 2 years before deciding to go to law school. Bridget attended Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas on a full scholarship and would graduate in 2009 with honors as a Thurgood ambassador and editor of the school's law review. After law school, Bridget would work at ExxonMobil before branching out into her real passion as a family law attorney, working at the law firm of Samuel and Samuel. There she focuses on helping children in the Child Protective Services system and by helping reunite families, handling adoptions, divorces, and child custody cases. Welcome, Bridget. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your coming on here. Sorry for the slight hiccup there, and I'm going to turn off my video and hand it off to you.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Makia, for inviting me. I don't know how I can top the previous presentation, so I'll just talk about, my personal experience with FAMU. We call it a family for a reason, because I would put my network and my friends and my contacts at FAMU up against any other institution in the nation. I made lifelong friendships there, people that I consider family now. We are a very, very tight-knit crew. I was fortunate enough when I graduated from TJ in 2000 to attend FAMU with some other TJ alum. And so we had a really good group of people to go down with us. At the time, we all went, I believe we were all on scholarship there. So that was a big thing for my parents, of course. My mother is a Hampton alum. So going to an HBCU was destined to happen. But we were fortunate enough to visit FAMU and see what the campus was like, the culture was like, and I was sold almost instantly. During my time there, I had a very good time. But I also was fortunate enough to meet some really great people and make some really great contacts. There's nothing that I could have wanted to do with my future that the door wouldn't have been open for me, that I wouldn't have known someone to get in contact with who could have helped. I think you heard earlier, Parks and Crump was mentioned. I actually interned there between my junior and senior year at FAM. That was how I got a connection and ended up working at AT&T. I have a friend whose father went to Texas Southern, which is how I found out about that school for law school and got that paid for as well. And then once I arrived in Houston, our alumni here, our alumni organization in Houston is probably at least 100 deep, and I can't say that about any other HBCU in the area, including those that are nearby. So we really do have an amazing alumni organization, probably in every state of the union. I had never met anybody from Alaska until I got to FAMU. So Roy Wood Jr., I don't know, Comedy Central, just everybody that I met at FAMU was an excellent scholar on top of just being really amazing people.
Roy Wood was my RA. Roy Wood was my RA in Gibbs Hall.
That's amazing. See, and the thing is, at the time that I went, I think we were the largest HBCU. I don't know if we are anymore, but you know, it's amazing to say that during the 4 years I was there, you know, I kept meeting people. I was part of the School of Journalism. So, you know, knowing people in SBI and the School of Architecture and the School of Engineering, like I said, even now, I do outreach in Houston to get kids to know about FAMU, to know about HBCUs. And, you know, there's always somebody I can give them a business card and say, hey, contact this person. They can, if they can't help you, they can put you in contact with the right person. So, you know, coming from TJ, I know that it's the environment that I was in, I had people actually ask me, you know, I can't believe you're graduated from TJ and you're choosing to go to an HBCU, as though that were, you know, in some way a lesser school. And I wouldn't trade my experience at FAMU for anything. And I know people that from FAMU that went on to be Rhodes Scholars, that went to Wharton, you know, Duke, wherever, and they would say the same thing, that the foundation and the education, the cultural environment, all of those things that we were exposed to at FAMU, those things were irreplaceable. And having grown up in Northern Virginia, especially, not to say that we're not a diverse county. I think Fairfax County especially is fairly diverse, but going to TJ, maybe not the most diverse experience. I was aching for the environment at FAM. I was aching for that cultural connection and, like I said, that family environment, and I definitely got that 1000%. And anybody who's worried about, you know, academic achievement going to an HBCU, you definitely don't need to be. Mr. Williams presented all of the famous alumni that we have, but obviously there are so many more that, you know, aren't famous, that are just, you know, I have a friend that works at Google. I have a friend that works at Eli Lilly, and I'm not talking about, you know, on a lower level. I have friends that work in every industry at a very high level, and like I said, that FAMU foundation, that educational environment was rich. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I participated in the mock trial team, and when we went to nationals, we competed against Harvard and won, at least my year. You don't have to worry about that going to Florida A&M and many other HBCUs. It's not a concern that I've ever heard from an HBCU alum. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything like that, but I will put my contact information in the chat, so that anybody who's interested can contact me. Like my introduction stated, I'm a family law attorney in Houston, Texas right now. So anybody that's interested in law school or an HBCU or anything like that, by all means, reach out to me. I will talk more in depth about my FAMU experience with you, as well as law school, or anything you want to know about just growing up in Northern Virginia and going to TJ, and then that transition period to FAMU. So that's all I got. Thank you guys again for inviting me. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share with anybody. FAMUans will often say there's never a time or place that we wouldn't be willing to talk about FAMU, and that is the truth for sure.
That's definitely something I can say I have learned just from after meeting Makia. It's really lovely. You guys are really proud of your school, and clearly you have a lot to be proud of. It's really impressive. It's really impressive. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that, Bridget. Next, we have Xavier McClinton. He is a current student at FAMU right now, and he is a fourth-year economics student from Brunswick, Georgia, and current student body president and university trustee of Florida A&M University. He was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and moved 5 times before ultimately settling in Brunswick. Xavier is a true servant leader with a real desire to speak up for what's right, give back to the community, and pursue innovative solutions to many of the problems he and many of his peers face on a daily basis. He is a proud member of the Beta Nu chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, although he is very involved on campus. Xavier continues to excel academically and professionally, having completed internships with Sea Island Beach Resort as a seasonal services intern, Fifth Third Bank, the State Board Administration of Florida, and Wells Fargo Securities LLC. His favorite quote is by Reginald F. Lewis, and it states, "Never let them see you sweat, only excel with seeming ease." Welcome, Xavier. So happy to see you and to meet you. That's really an impressive bio that you've got there at such a young age. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm going to turn off my video now and let you tell us about your school.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me this afternoon. Anytime I get the chance to talk to and convince some young folks that FAMU is the right place for them, I always take that opportunity because that's what somebody did for me, and it's been one of the greatest decisions of my life so far. So like what was just mentioned, I'm originally from Brunswick, Georgia, which is a little small town right outside of Savannah, where, I mean, I grew up there for the most part, kind of moved when I was in my 5th grade and stayed there. And it was from the sense, it was a lot like TJ, where there wasn't a lot of diversity. I tended to be one of 2 African-American kids in my classroom growing up. And so I just remember vividly, I kind of locked into this idea that I wanted to go to Georgia Tech, study aerospace engineering. And when the time came senior year, I got accepted, was able to play on the football team as a walk-on. It just seemed like everything was lined up for me around the September, October timeframe when I got that acceptance letter, and the football coach told me I was good to go. But then I went on a cruise with a family member, Derek Heck, who was SGA president then, and he was like, "Have you considered any HBCU, or more specifically, have you considered FAMU?" And I told him, you know what, I was like, no, my parents went to Southern, which is a big FAMU rival at that point. And they tried so long and so hard to get me to go to Southern. I just really didn't want to go for some reason. And he was like, you know what, just try this. I'm going to set you up with a meeting with a couple of deans and administrators down at this National Merit Conference that FAMU's recruiting some National Merit Scholars. And I went down there, met the dean, Dr. Friday Stroud, chairman of the Board of Trustees, Chair Lawson, Dr. President Robinson, and so many other faculty and administrators that were there. And they talked to me about the networking opportunities, the education itself. There's so many just different pieces that really sold me on FAMU as a whole. It convinced me to come down and take a visit. So I came down, and after that visit, I was sold. I mean, it made sense. That felt like the place where I needed to be, where I wanted to go. And after it took so long for me to get to that point of understanding and taking that leap of faith, because I mean, there was 2 of us in my senior class that got into Georgia Tech because it's super competitive to get into. And I vividly remember my calculus teacher telling me that she sat me down after class one day after I told her I was going to FAMU instead of Tech. And she was like, "This is probably one of the dumbest decisions I think you can make." And I for some reason, I trusted God. He said, this is the path you need to be on, prayed about it, made my decision in May of my senior year, which really stressed my parents out a lot from a planning standpoint, but ultimately made my decision. And looking back at it, it has been the best decision of my life so far. But I mean, I got in just a little bit about my experience on FAMU's campus. So I joined the SGA as a freshman senator, ran for my position when I first got there, which was a really great experience. And I think that anybody who gets that opportunity should. I didn't know anybody when I got to campus, which was even more terrifying. I mean, I texted my roommate once or twice, but I didn't have any type of connection to any student that was there. So when I decided to run, I really ran on a limb, got an opportunity to really meet and network and talk to so many people. And even if I had lost, I really had made so many connections and so many new friends throughout that process and that campaign time frame that I really would have found value in that time and that experience anyway. So I ran freshman year, was fortunate enough to win that seat, spent a lot of time in the Senate for the next 3 years, where I served as committee chair for the Judicial Rules Committee chair and Organization and Finance Committee chair. Like I think was mentioned in my bio, I pledged Beta Nu Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in spring of my sophomore year. Joined the Collegiate 100 the fall of my sophomore year. Been involved in so many other organizations on campus, the FAMU College Democrats, the Collegiate 100, which is similar to the Black College, which is similar to the 100 Black Men of America, and just the Honor Student Association. There were just so many things from an organizational standpoint that I really tried to immerse myself in FAMU and what all they had to offer, that I just really wanted to make sure that I got the most out of every bit of it. So, I mean, I've got an opportunity to do 4 internships. I think was mentioned again. Worked at Sea Island Resorts down in Southeast Georgia, then did an internship with Fifth Third Bank out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Did an internship with the State Board Administration, which is the pension fund here in the state of Florida. So we got to manage the money of some of the retirement assets and different public funds, and then ended up ultimately interning with Wells Fargo Securities, where I accepted a full-time job offer up in New York City when I graduated. So, I mean, for anybody to tell you that you can't go somewhere from FAMU, I think they're lying to you. You can go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do. I have friends of mine that are going to work at Google. I'm working on Wall Street. I have other friends of mine that are working in Silicon Valley. I have friends of mine that are working at these large engineering and security firms like Lockheed Martin. And you can go wherever you want to go and get where you want to go from here. And you just have to make sure you put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort. Companies come looking for diverse talent at FAMU specifically. I mean, I think everybody had kind of the realization, the social reckoning this summer, and there's so much money and energy and time being poured into this university and so many of the HBCUs that I think there's no better time to attend an HBCU than now. Another problem that I'm having right now is trying to decide, I've got this full-time job offer that I accepted at Wells Fargo, but I also just was accepted into Columbia for grad school and being considered for this HBCU fellowship that they started up a couple of years ago just for HBCU grads. And so there's what's an opportunity to pay completely for a master's degree at an Ivy League school, which is just exactly sport for choice. I have 2 great opportunities in my hand, and these are just the things that HBCUs offers. Like that, I don't think that I'm any type of exception. There's so many students across the HBCU spectrum that I've met and talked to and still keep in contact with that are having the same decisions and same choices as I am now. So you come here and you know what? And I compare my friends that went to Georgia Tech. I have a friend of mine that's at Yale now. I have a friend of mine that's at Princeton, a friend of mine that's at UGA. And when we come back home and we talk about our experiences and what we've been able to do and what our plans are and the information and access and so many different opportunities we've gotten, it's just head and heels above what they've gotten at their respective university, just because of the focus and the intimate culture that we have here. That's really about personal growth, development, and opportunities. So hopefully I didn't talk your head off and gave you my insight on why FAMU is the greatest institution in the planet, and why I think that would be the best thing for you. So.
Absolutely not. You did not talk our head off. I'm like this. I'm so happy for you in the first place. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's just great. That's just great. What a wonderful thing. I'm like over here texting all my friends like, this is great. This kid, what he's saying out here, this is just great. We really, I don't know. I feel super great listening to this. This is just wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I do not remember what we're supposed to be doing next. So I am I had one thing up and I don't remember what the next thing is. Hold on a second. If somebody remembers, they can tell me.
It's like somebody said Q&A in the chat, maybe.
Q&A. Okay. Let me see if we have any in the chat. I have some Q&As that were sent from other people, but let me just check and see if we have any in the chat. Some of these might be I don't see any in the chat. Okay, so some of these, Gus, are probably for you, I think. So
Okay.
let me just, hold on a second. I apologize. I got a little thrown off by doing the introduction. So what I had up is not here anymore. Hold on a second. Because I had some questions. One thing I know was one of the questions while I look for this thing, let me just like ask you this. So there was a question that was brought up regarding financial aid. Now you talked about some of the offerings that you guys have, the financial aid that you guys are offering there. There was I think you're muted still. There was a question submitted earlier that in general, that is a problem that the people who submitted, I think that they might be graduates of HBCUs themselves. So traditionally there has been a problem, they say, with offering favorable financial aid and scholarship opportunities because HBCUs can be quite expensive. So I would love to hear you just talking about that, maybe as an overall issue in HBCUs or at FAMU.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I understand. And listen, affordability is huge. You know what I'm saying? Because the last thing we want to do is continue to produce a generation of individuals in debt. That's the very last thing we want to continue to do. So understanding the financial responsibility of college is very, very important. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this generation is more conscious of it than we were when we were in school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember getting my first credit card. I was walking on the set. I signed up for a T-shirt. Like, I signed you know what I'm saying? Remember that, Bridget? They used to have, they get a T-shirt for a credit card. Like, so not really understanding the ramifications of financial responsibility. So when we think about this whole college thing, especially right now during the pandemic, and we have to consider, and that's why I always mention, options like, hey, if I can't afford it, maybe start off at a state college. You know what I'm saying? And get your credits, then transfer. But for those who are currently in school and say you're underclassmen, man, think about leveraging things like dual enrollment, because dual enrollment, you can start knocking out a lot of your college prerequisites while you're in high school. And they give you that weighted GPA, just like you're taking the AP-IB course as well. You know what I'm saying? So, I like to have students with what I call a diverse portfolio with a little AP, little IB, but definitely with some dual enrollment, because the college adjustment is not just academic, it's social as well. So if you're able to leverage that, if I'm a student who don't have a dime and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay for college, and I'm leveraging and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay for college, that's something I definitely seriously have to look at. Let me make sure I can dual enroll, because if I do have to take out loans, I'm not that much in debt because I locked out a lot of my prerequisites in high school. Yeah. So that part is definitely important as well. The second thing is join high school groups and organizations that provide scholarships. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you guys have access to TRIO, anything that's going to any kind of collegiate preparation programs, they offer some kind of college subsidy as well. Do that. Test early, test often, because when you have a higher test score, you may be eligible for some scholarship opportunities, merit-based opportunities at that school. Not just in that school, but those individual colleges and schools. So understand what's in need, understand what's in trend. So that's why when I talk about scholarships with agriculture and the environment, those are the two fastest growing needs for minorities in America. So they're going to provide they're going to provide additional scholarship opportunities based on the fact that they need enrollment in those areas. You know what I'm saying? So I think those are things you definitely can consider and apply to colleges early. Apply as early as possible. Why is that important? When you apply early as possible, you get an acceptance letter early. When you get an acceptance letter early, you now can leverage that acceptance letter for outside scholarships. Because when you apply for outside scholarships, they want to know where we need to send the check. Yeah. And there's also validity that you're college ready because you have that information with you. Right. So those are things you want to do to be proactive about, how can I leverage these funds, and do your FAFSA. You should be listen, October 1. One thing that the financial aid office explains to us is if a student does their FAFSA on the very first day, there's an additional allotment of funding that's available the earlier you do your FAFSA. So in addition to your Pell, if you're Pell eligible, there's additional grants that you'll post on your financial aid. Sure. But it only happens when you're proactive, y'all. So, do your FAFSA early, apply to colleges early, leverage dual enrollment. Those are great ways. Join some kind of collegiate acclimation programs to provide some kind of scholarship opportunities. Test early, test often for merit-based. All right.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate
problem.
that. Did either of you want to share anything on that question about, or we can move on? We have some other.
Yeah, I definitely through TJ's Black Student Union, I know that we did a college tour. In addition, I had never even heard of FAMU at the time that I went to the interest meeting, and President Humphreys was there himself.
Mm-hmm.
He handed out free tickets to go to the Howard FAMU game. And then just talking to the students who were there from student government about their personal experiences and how they got in. And because I was coming from out of state, and my dad's biggest concern about college was, if you get money, that's where you're going. I don't care where it is. So, I mean, TJ, the pipeline is directly to UVA. So, I mean, that was obviously an option for me, along with a lot of other schools in Virginia, in the state of Virginia. But I was particular about going to an HBCU. I knew that I wanted to, but that is a concern because my first choice was Howard before I found out about FAMU. I didn't necessarily want to go to Hampton because I have a lot of family that was attending at the time, still is attending, and I didn't want to go to Hampton, but it was an option. But both of those schools are private, so there is a difference between, you know, a public and a private HBCU as far as cost as well. But to piggyback off what Mr. Mitchell said, finding out about those things early so that you can apply. There are so many scholarship opportunities. I still see friends of mine posting in our Houston alumni group, hey, can you guys reach out if you know any students who are interested, because we have this scholarship and we've only gotten 3 applicants. So knowing about those groups that have, in particular, scholarships for minorities, scholarships for women, scholarships for people that are interested in a particular field, knowing about those things early, applying early, you would be surprised how much money you can rack up. And then, of course, there's the obvious, keeping your grades up, performing well on, you know, those standardized tests. Because that obviously got me a scholarship to FAM, and being on campus and talking to people who are available. So if you have a campus tour that's available, take it, sign up, because you never know. I wouldn't have even known about FAMU had it not been for my Black Student Union, which I'm not sure how active they are anymore, but whatever organization you can join at the high school level to find out about that, definitely.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I can move on unless maybe you had something else you wanted to add to the scholarship question. I'm happy to move on though.
No, I think they hit it all. So
okay. Question 1 is for Bridget. What other schools did you consider besides FAMU? I guess you sort of just said that you were considering Howard. And why did you ultimately choose FAMU? Maybe you answered that, but like I said,
that first day on campus, I knew, and I think that's also the value in going to different campuses is when you get there, if you genuinely feel a connection to the university, to the culture, to the campus, then that's the place for you. I know a lot of people go and they're still on the fence or whatever the case may be, but that experience for me was, I was sold immediately. I know everybody's not like that, but like I said, there were several PWIs that were in contention that I did get accepted to, but I had kind of already made up my mind during the application process that I was going to an HBCU. So it was really a matter of what HBCU gave me some money.
Yeah. I mean, if you have any thoughts on that, Xavier, I'm curious to hear also whether you had considered any other schools, and you also said the same thing, that you got to campus and you felt like that was home. So
yeah, I mean, so it wasn't until December my senior year that I'd even remotely considered FAMU. But at that, I was locked in to Georgia Tech for a while. I was also being recruited to play football at like Stetson, which is a private institution here in Florida, Rhodes College, which is another small school outside in Memphis, Tennessee. Also applied to Georgetown, Davidson, a couple of other schools like that. got into all of those schools and just decided that FAMU was the best place for me. And there were so many people that thought I was making a bad decision, but because FAMU wasn't a prestigious school as a Georgetown or Tech or anything like that. But
well, clearly it has worked out very well for you. So, you know, really good. Next question is for Xavier. What do you feel is the biggest difference from what you would have experienced at Georgia Tech versus what you have experienced at FAMU?
I would say the focus on personal development and giving back to the community. I think because my brother, he goes to Georgia Tech now. And so we talk about this often about there's such a big focus at FAMU about how do you take your career path or where you want to go and give back to the community. I mean, we have classes. I mean, in our professional leadership development class, we talk about kind of the corporate responsibility or just ways that you can find a pathway. I mean, just your conversation with students, everybody's so engaged around how do we find ways to give back that you immediately start thinking about, you know what, I hadn't thought about that. Let me start thinking about, okay, you know, what can I do with my economics degree to not only help me grow in my career and be successful and provide for my family the way I want to and envision my life going, but how can I take that success and give back to the community forward as well? I think those are the conversations that you may not have at Georgia Tech from what I've talked to my brother, because it's all really academically focused. I mean, but I think we're going to get exposed to the same information that you get at Georgia Tech. But I think there's a focus on that personal growth and development and how do you feel as a leader and how to be confident in you as a Black and African American man in that space. That there's a little bit of a difference in the application of that information that you get.
That is really a very interesting thing to think about. Thank you, I appreciate it. I don't know if this is for Bridget. Coming from Northern Virginia, TJ specifically, TJ specifically can be super competitive. How did your experience at FAMU impact your self-confidence and or self-image? I think that what they're getting at is coming from a place like Northern Virginia and TJ, and then going into school, how did that impact your self-confidence and self-image at FAMU? I think is what that's getting at, that question.
I guess I did field a lot of if I'm understanding the question right, I did field a lot of kind of negative talk before I went to FAMU. I mean, we had anybody in Northern Virginia knows TJ had a 100% graduation rate, 100% college attendance rate, and everybody was vying for, you know, Ivy League schools. So people even hearing that I was considering an HBCU, they were surprised. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to have a parent who attended an HBCU, many family members who did as well. So I knew that there was it wasn't like a trade-off for me, like I'm going to lose, you know, some of that prestige, or, you know, my education is not going to be as valuable or any of that. I wasn't concerned about that. And you know, plenty of TJ alum, you know, I know that went to HBCUs. Makia and I both knew there were already TJ alum when we arrived at FAM. So we already had a foundation. I wasn't concerned about any of that. And then of course, once you get to FAM, you realize like it's not like you're steps above everybody else. Everybody at FAM is incredibly intelligent. They are ready to learn. The professors are amazing. Like I said, our mock trial team, we were competing against, you know, what other people consider the cream of the crop and the best of the best, and that's across the board, not just mock trial. That was our what was the trivia team called? Somebody remind me.
The Honda All-Stars.
The Honda All-Stars.
Yep.
I mean, at every level, FAMU competed against the best, and oftentimes we won. So I never had a question or a concern. And then, like I said, the connections themselves, even if I didn't perform well, you know, people always talk about how non-minorities say, you know, it's all about who you know. And people would say that that was a concern going to FAMU. Are you concerned about, you know, not being able to make those connections? And if anything, like I said previously, the connections were better than. So that was never a problem for me. And I would encourage anybody to spend some time with some HBCU alums, go to the schools, talk to the people, and you'll find that it's, I don't care where you're coming from. I don't care if you're coming from Oxford, FAMU is a top-notch education. So
That's great to hear. This fun question for Xavier. Being mentored by an Omega man, how were you influenced to become an Alpha?
So Alpha runs in my blood. My dad pledged at Southern, or the grad chapter in Baton Rouge. My uncle was a charter member of Auburn University. So I had a choice, but I didn't have a choice, if that makes sense. But no, I mean, my grandmother on my mom's side was an Omega man as well. When you got to campus, my dad always told me, he's like, I'm not going to force you to do anything or go in a specific direction. It's all about the feel and how you feel comfortable and who you feel comfortable around. It just so happened that the mentors that I had my freshman year were Alphas at the time. It just seemed like that group of guys were really welcoming and just seemed like the right fit for me at the moment. But there's nothing I have against the Upside chapter here. A lot of them are some of my closest friends now, but it made sense for me. So I'm a legacy.
I have another question here. If you had to summarize your FAMU experience in 3 words, what would they be? And I don't know if Gus wants to weigh in here too. It says for the full panel, so.
I'd
Whoever wants
say
to jump in first.
I'd say fun, opportunities, and fleeting, because it's been, the 4 years passes by so fast.
Oh, that's really great.
It's true. It's true. I'll say family, nurturing, and oh man, I don't want to say fun, but that's what I had. It was a good time. I'll go with exciting.
Okay. How about you, Gus?
Yeah, one thing you notice, we all started off by looking up first. It's like, oh man, let me make sure I get the educational stuff out first. For me, I definitely would say that it was I don't want to undervalue it, man, but it was definitely transformational for me. Transformational, man. Like with it, just leaving the inner city of Miami and having my experiences there at FAMU was, I don't think any other place I would have had that opportunity. Man, they said it all, man. Family, man. Like you can't. I mean, I'm still friends with my friends in the dorms. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, it's that kind of thing. But more importantly, it's such a prideful experience, man. Like it's put something inside of you that when you faced with different obstacles in life, and when you faced with different things that's happening in society, man, you're ready. Like you know, I'm ready for that. Give me the smoke. I want all the smoke. Like I'm ready. I was. You know what I'm saying? And you have this bravado. You know what I'm saying? Like this swagger about yourself when you attend an HBCU, because you know you're ready.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, for me, that's what it was.
That is so wonderful. That's such a great, like, you know, honestly, I have a couple more questions, but there's so much more, like, the kind of questions I wish I had thought of asking these first. I was so involved in the conversation, but let me just ask real quick. Somebody asked a question about upkeep, but it sounds like you were doing about renovating spaces and some concerns about that. But it sounds like you guys are building more. You've built more housing. This may not be the perfect question for this particular school, but somebody asked a question about me. It was that there was a concern that sometimes in HBCUs that there is a that they need to be putting some money into the infrastructure. It sounds like FAMU doesn't have that problem because it sounds like you're building a lot of great stuff. But feel free if you think that there's anything about that in general, that about HBCUs or just colleges in general, that they reduce state funding. You said, I didn't know that this wasn't a private university. I thought that it was. So maybe having state funding, I don't know if you're finding any issues with that or not, with maintaining your campus or.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
No, go ahead, Xavier, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, there's always a battle with trying to convince the state of Florida of our values and purpose we serve in the state. But I do think that FAMU as an HBCU has done a really great job of upkeep. I mean, every new week, something new is coming up as far as renovations on campus. I mean, they talk about the new dorm that was just built, the new Center of Academic and Student Success that was built, the plans for renovations of the football stadium that's on the way, plans for renovations of a lot of different academic facilities and dorms and so many other things. Like, I think the long-term plan for FAMU is, it looks so much different than what it did when I first got here. And it's going to look so much different from 4 years from now when I come back from my 5-year anniversary. So there's always constant improvement. There's always that avenue there. But I think FAMU, the facilities, and I talked to my parents who went to Southern, they were super surprised about how upkept and of high quality facilities we have. So.
And I think that it's important that we do that, because one thing I pride myself on when representing this institution is that we represent all HBCUs. And that question that you were raised is the misconception about a lot of Black colleges as well. And that will, deter a student from wanting to have that experience at a HBCU if they believe the facilities, are up to par. But HBCUs, you'll be surprised. That's why it's important to visit colleges, man. Don't allow other individuals to shape your perception about HBCUs, man. It's a lot of great facilities around the country at a HBCU. So don't allow conversation, rhetoric, or previous misconceptions.
Could be an old idea, because
really
someone who was asking a question, because the person who asked it actually did attend an HBCU, but a long time ago. So maybe just asking that question and of course is also a very, very strong supporter of HBCU. So I don't want to say that is not the case, but just wanted to make sure asking about that question, because maybe if that's something that people have thought, then maybe they haven't gone back to see what has been happening of late. That's also possible. Anyway, okay, so I am supposed to ask you all to close on your classic FAMU introduction. I don't know what that means, so please close on.
This is Makia. This is Makia doing it.
Makia put that in.
Go ahead, Zay.
All right, so I'll start this off. Greetings and humble salutations. I am Xavier McClinton, a graduating senior economics student from Brunswick, Georgia.
Greetings, I am Augustus Mitchell, the Assistant Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management and alumnus of Florida A&M University.
Greetings, I am Bridget Nance, hailing from Fairfax County, Virginia. I am an alumnus of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, currently residing in Houston, Texas. I am a family law attorney.
I'm so grateful for you all coming and telling us about your university. It sounded really, really great. Thank you very much. I am going to hand it to Malika, who is going to close things up for us today. But again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sujatha. So just wanted to say again how much it's appreciated that we could have all of the panelists here today. And also just wanted to start by giving a huge thank you to Makia, as well as David and Brandon for helping to put together this event from TJAAG, and then also Sujatha for her support and coordination from the Fairfax NAACP perspective. And then in terms of our speakers today, so I think Dr. Williams dropped off, but want to thank her for starting off by talking about clarifying some of the myths about HBCUs and especially FAMU in terms of who's allowed to apply and the historical background for how HBCUs came to be. Want to thank Mr. Mitchell very much. After watching your video and hearing everything you had to say about FAMU, I feel like if I ever have kids, I'm going to force them to watch that video and apply now as well. So very much appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
And then Also, thank you to Bridget so much. Really enjoyed hearing about going from TJ, as I'm a TJ alum too, to going to a place like FAMU and how, how that helped you throughout your career. So thank you very much for that. And then Xavier, thank you for joining last minute. And I feel like we're looking at the future president now. So please don't slip people later.
Right.
Don't forget about this event in the future. So yeah, I think this was a great presentation. Thank you all for joining. And just to remind people, this series will continue. So next week at the same time, we'll be having a similar session with VSU. But yes, I think this was a great start to our series and appreciate all of the FAMU love.
Right. Hey, VSU's president came from FAMU and their provost, FYI.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yeah.
Let you guys know. Yeah.
Great. So with that, I think that concludes our session. So thank you everyone for attending and more information about the upcoming series events.
Thank you.